Hello everyone, in this video we are going to discuss game between jan-krzysztof Duda versus Anish Giri, and this game was played yesterday, and total 8 players are playing the tournament in the Meltwater Champions Chess 2 finals. So the names of the players are Magnus Carlsen, Anish Giri, jan-krzysztof Duda, Pragnananda, Lee Kwam Lim, Wesley So, Shakriya Mamdyarov and Arjun Erigasi. So all the 8 players are extremely strong players. Wesley So recently won the Chess.com Global Championship, as we know, and the Magnus Carlsen needs no introduction. So basically every player is extremely strong. So it's going to be very interesting to analyze the games of the top 2 players in this video, which is jan-krzysztof Duda having the rating of 2731 and versus Anish Giri playing with the black pieces, who is having the rating of 2764. So the time format of the tournament is 15 minutes plus 10-second increment, and it is playing in an online format. So it's basically a rapid event. The game is going to be very interesting. So let's quickly check it out. So jan-krzysztof Duda with the white pieces starts out the game with 1d4, whereas Anish replied with knight to f6, c4, e6, knight f3, d5, knight to c3, bishop to b4, and here we have c to d5. So this position is already very standard, the Raghavan defense. And after bishop b4, there are many ways to continue this position with the white pieces. Bishop to g5 can be a move. Queen to a4 is a check is a move which forces black to play the knight to c6 to defend the bishop. And you can even go for playing e3. But white in this position goes for capturing the pawn on d5 in this position, e to d5, and here we have bishop to g5. Basically, I would say it is more like a Ninja Indian, I would say, where white captures the pawn and then develops the bishop to keep the position as simple as possible. So after bishop g5, we have knight to d7, rook to c1. White is simply developing up the pieces, whereas black is doing the same. We have h6 hitting the knight, and also basically the pawn is now hitting the bishop. Bishop goes back, and now we have g5 by Anish. Simply hitting the bishop is forced to go back, and here we have knight to e4. So basically, the king side, it looks like the king side of Anish is a bit weak because he has already overextended the king side structure, which is not good, which is going to create some serious problems in the future. But for now, Anish already have a very strong knight on e4, and actually putting a large amount of pressure on the knight on c3, and there can be a plan to capture the bishop on g3. So we have queen to b3 by Duda, simply developing the queen and also hitting the bishop and also protecting the knight. Bishop into c3 check, b into c3, and we have knight to b6. Protecting the pawn on d5. We have e3 by white, and here we have h5 by Anish. So going for the bishop on g3. So basically in this position, you definitely from the white pieces want to escape from this bishop, because once black plays h4, your bishop is kind of trapped. So actually in this position, even if you try to place something like h3, there is simply knight into g3, f into g3, and pawn structure of white is already extremely bad. I feel black is already better in this position. So in this position, Duda simply ignored this pawn push and he went for the move, trying to open up the position by playing c4. h4 was played by Anish, and here we have bishop to e5, f6, and you can clearly see the bishop is simply trapped in the center of the board on e5. So after f6, the bishop is having no square to go, so we have c to d5 by Duda, sacrificing the bishop, and here we have bishop to b5 check. King f8, moving the king, which is the best move actually. You can also go for playing bishop to d7, that's also extremely fine move. But I think after knight into e5, Anish perhaps wasn't liking the position, or else he thought that doing a castle or plinking on f8 is more like same, because the king side is already extremely open. So he decides to move the king, and here we have knight into e5 still, and here we have king to g7. The first blunder of the game. After knight into e5, the best move for black would have been to play queen into d5 in this position. And after knight to g6 check, moving the king takes checks, rook takes pawn, and this position is slightly better for white, I would say, but extremely playable, because if I tell you this position by material wise, white is having 6 pawns, black is having 4 pawns, black is having 3 minor pieces and 1 rook, and white is having 2 rooks and 1 minor piece. So basically we have 1 minor piece against basically we have this. Okay, black is having the rook. So basically it's 2 minor pieces against the rook and the 2 pawns. So definitely white is having the edge, and black king is also extremely weak. But definitely perhaps Anish wasn't liking that position, so he decides to play king to g7, trying to simply stop this knight to g6 idea, which is a very practical choice. And here comes bishop to d3 by Duda. Knight goes back to d6 as the knight was simply attacked on e4. So knight to d6 and now simply short castle by Duda. g4. So again, he's trying to attack on the king side. I think playing g4 is simply a bad move, I would say, because like, how can you attack in this position where white king is extremely safe? Your king is having so much trouble. It is on the edge of getting checkmated. So I believe the best move in this position, or the better move in this position, could have been just simply develop the bishop perhaps to d7 and trying to play something like queen e7 rook f8, trying to give some space to the black king to develop itself. But after castle we have g4 and now simply f4 by Duda, simply trying to open up the king side as he has simply castled on the king side. So it's already good for white to open up the king side and try to break the king. And here if black tries to end pass, it's already good for white, because after rook into f3 he can bring another rook into the game and it's going to be game over for black. So rook to f8 was played by Anish, and now here we have simply e4 by Duda, trying to grab as much space in the center as possible. So after e4 we have g3, and he's again trying to attack on the king side, but I don't see any attack, so as well as Duda. So he went for the move f5, queen to g5, rook into c7 check, king move, bishop to b1, and I believe the idea is to put the queen to f3 as the bishop have moved and try to get in with king side as many pieces as possible to checkmate the black king. So queen to d2 was played by Anish. Like, everyone who are thinking like, what happens after pawn takes? Is black having any chances? Because after pawn takes, both the moves are winning. You can either capture the pawn or you can either move your king to h1. Definitely playing the king on f2 is simply losing because of knight into e4 check, bishop into e4 check, and after queen to d2 it's winning. So showing that line is worthless. But you can, I think the best move would be to simply play king h1. So there is no attack incoming. Everything is protected by the king on the third file. So you can't even go for playing h3 because there is queen into h3. Okay. So that's the stuff. So after bishop b1 we have queen to d2 in the game, and now simply queen to f3. As I said, simply bring as many pieces as possible on the king side. And now we have bishop into f5 by Anish sacrificing a piece for a pawn, giving up the piece, I would say, because white idea is as simple as that. He wants to play queen g4 check, king move, and it's queen g7 checkmate. So we have bishop into pawn, trying to stop the square. Pawn takes, queen pawn check, king move, and here we have rook to c8. You can't capture the knight in this position because of queen g4 check, king h8. You can't play queen g7, the queen would be simply hanging, but you can play queen to h5 check, king move, queen to h7, and the game is over. So yeah. So the knight cannot be captured, so rook to c8 was played in the game. You can't play queen g4 because black can simply trade the queens. So okay. In this particular position, I was going to tell you to stop the video and try to find the best move, but I revealed the move accidentally. Rook to g7 check. Mind-blowing move in this position. This position is already completely winning for white, and there are numerous ways to win this position. You can definitely the best ways to play rook g7 check, giving up the rook, and the second can even play a move like rook h7. So rook to g7 check was played, king into g7, and the f6 check was played, king to h6, knight to g4 check. Like, if you try to go back with king, like for example over here, there's queen h5 check, king comes, and it's queen h3 mate with the help of the bishop. If you go here, it's the same. Now comes bishop to h7 check, takes, and queen h5 check here, and it's made like this. And if you won't capture the bishop and try to play this, there is this knight g6 check. You take queen h5 check here, queen. Okay, simply knight d7 check. Yeah. So yeah, everything is falling apart. So after f6, we have the king h6 played in the game. Knight to g4 check, king g5, and here's my question: what are you going to play in this position? It is the move number 30. It's the 30 moves have been completed. It's the 31st move. You are in the Duda's shoes. What are you going to play in this position for white? So feel free to pause the video and try to find the best move. Okay, it's the only move if you want to win the game, or else you are going to lose everything as you have already sacrificed the rook. In this position, the brilliant move is queen to f5 check. You're giving up the queen, which like black's kind of forced captured it, rook into f5 check. And so basically, white have given up the rook and the queen. And if black escaped, it's the game over for white. King to g6 was played, the only move. Rook to e5 check in this position. It's actually the only move to win the game, or else everything is collapsing apart. Rook e5 check, and after playing 33 move, after playing rook e5 check, Giri resigned the game, and Duda won the game. So the basic reason why Giri resigned in this position is like if you try to play king f7, which is kind of the fourth move, now comes rook e7 check, king move, and now comes knight to h6 check, king move, and it's the fourth checkmate. So one interesting thing is that happened in the game is while playing the game, Duda was laughing while playing the game, like continuously when he from the start when he played rook g7 check, he starts laughing, which actually makes the game very interesting. And it would have been more interesting if Anish Giri would have played till checkmate, but definitely any player who is losing won't be playing till the checkmate because it's very I would say I can't say anything. Yeah. So the game was extremely, I would say, mind-blowing, played by Duda. So I think it can be one of the best games played by jan-krzysztof. Duda sacrificing the queen and the rook to checkmate the black king. And we can actually call this game as Duda's Immortal. So please tell me, can we call this game as Duda's Immortal, or is there any better game that Duda played in his chess career? I believe this is the best game that Duda played in his chess career. So yeah. So after this game, the standings of the player are: Magnus Carlsen is leading the tournament with 8 points. Anish and Duda are the joint second with 7.5 points. And Pragnanda is having the 7 points. Lee Kwam Lim is having 5 points. Wesley So is having 4.5 points. Shakir Mamedyarov is having 4 points. And Arjun Agassi in the 8th place is having 1.5 points. So Magnus first, Giri second, Duda joined second, Pragnanda fourth, Lee Kwam Lim 5th, Wesley So 6th, Shakir Mamedyarov 7th, and Arjun Agassi. So there are still games pending, so it's going to be very interesting to analyze those games. So I'm going to see you soon. So till then, stay tuned and keep watching One Shot Chess.